Natural law, the key to unlocking freedom and the preservation of Earth's life support systems. What is natural law? Most of us have never even heard of this kind of a concept, and it's not a concept, I'll tell you that. And if you stick with this presentation in this series, I will teach you. This is a caption from my Natural Law podcast that's me, Bill Hoy, the narrator of this series and of my Natural Law podcast on Anchor, Spotify. And I started learning about natural law about 7 years ago. And boy, is this a rabbit hole, folks. A rabbit hole of infinite knowledge and awareness. A rabbit hole where we humans can discover what we truly are. So let's pull back the curtains and let's get started. What are the fundamental basics of learning? The answers to this question are contained in what is called the trivium. We've been dumbed down by public schools, folks, television. We're taught what to think instead of how to think. True learning starts with knowledge, leading to understanding, and then that leads to wisdom and self-actualization. That's the pinnacle of enlightenment, self-actualization, knowledge of self, know thyself. And then that goes back around from knowledge to knowledge, gathering data, understanding that data, and then applying that data to our behaviors, creating wisdom, aligning thoughts, intentions, emotions, and behaviors. That's wisdom, that's self-actualization. The ruling class does not want you to know the information contained in this video series. What are laws? I will let Spooner tell you. Lysander Spooner quotes from Lysander Spooner's book, The Unconstitutionality of Slavery, a book that was written, I can't exactly remember, but I think the 1800s. And this is the book that I first learned about natural law. I first started learning about what is called natural law. And so let's get into Spooner's quotes here about laws. Number one, law is an intelligible principle of right necessarily resulting from the nature in man and not an arbitrary rule that can be established by mere will, numbers, or power. That's significant. We're talking about law. Laws are principles, and laws are correct. Whether something good or bad happens as a result of a law, the law is a principle and something that always happens. And it's resulting from the nature in man. It comes from nature. Okay, laws come from nature. Laws don't come from arbitrary rules created by humans. And laws are not established by mere will, numbers, or power. Humans make rules and call them laws. But laws are principles. And for example, in the Constitution, I'm pretty sure that it says Congress has the power to levy capitulation or poll tax. It doesn't say Congress has the right. It says Congress has the power. And that's an indication of the knowledge of the writers of the Constitution at the time, in my opinion, who I would say knew that taxing people is not a right, but they basically said that, hey, we have the power to do this. We have the numbers, and we have the will, the numbers, and the power to do this, to tax people, and we're gonna write this rule and call it a law in the Constitution. So, got some background noise. So, I'm just going to continue on. Number 2, the true and general meaning of it, I put law there in parentheses, is that natural, permanent, unalterable principle which governs any particular thing or class of things. That's a law. That's what a law is. Okay? Well, you see, once again, humans make rules and call them laws. Well, I'm going to get into all that. But true laws, a true meaning of law is its natural, permanent, unalterable principle which governs any particular thing or class of things. Okay? That's what a law is. Number 3, if it were changeable, partial or arbitrary, it would be no law. That's significant. That's significant. Number 4, thus we speak of physical laws, of the laws, for instance, that govern the solar system, the laws of motion, the laws of gravitation, the laws of light. That's what laws are. These are laws. There's physical laws and there's laws of behavior as well. Number 5, I shall define it, and I put in parentheses behavioral law, to be simply the rule, principle, obligation, or requirement of natural justice. What are natural behavioral laws? Natural behavioral laws are a set of inherent, universal, immutable, and unalienable birthrights endowed by creation to species with the capability to access higher intelligence. This is incredible stuff, folks. So let's further break down the definition. Okay, so inherent, something that exists as permanent. Universal, affects the freedom of all beings of higher intelligence throughout the universe and is infinite. Immutable, cannot be changed or altered by living beings. Unalienable, does not change no matter where you go in the entire universe. Birthrights, when we humans are born, these rights, along with the responsibilities that coincide, are ours. And endowed by creation, these rights come from creation itself, or God, if you like. So, I'll run through it just with a little explanations here. Once again, inherent, these laws are permanent, man. Laws of gravity, the physical laws, and the behavior laws. Universal, okay, affects all beings with the capability for higher intelligence. Behavior laws, okay. I'm just going over a basic cursory definition here. I'm gonna get much deeper into all of this. Immutable, cannot be changed. Human beings can pretend to change laws, but they never can truly do that. Okay, and it doesn't change no matter where you go. It doesn't change no matter where you go. Laws are a law. The law of gravity is the same in the United States as it is in China, meaning it exists. The law of gravity is the same on Mars. It may be different because of the size of different objects, sizes of different objects, and the distances between them. I'll get into that. But the law of gravity itself is always constant. Birthrights. So birthrights. All rights are birthrights. Birthrights. We're born with these rights, and they're endowed by creation. And when I say God, I want to be very clear. This is not a religion. Not a religion at all, folks. God is, if I was to say, explain God, I would say it's a power greater than humans. It's a non-living entity as far as like physical. As far as it's definitely, let's just put it this way, it's not human. Definitely not. It's a power greater than all physical beings with the capability of higher intelligence. We're endowed by our very creation with rights, and we're required to abide, to align with behavior laws. Further breakdown of natural laws. Observable. These laws are evident to anyone who has the ability to see how things work in our world. Belief is not required. Information is able to be acquired by careful study of real-world events and collating information to get an unbiased understanding. These laws are discoverable. Humans do not need to have their reality dictated to them. Humans are able to discern by way of unbiased study as to what is going on in their surroundings. Humans are able to investigate for themselves and come to their own conclusions via objective facts. Case in point would be, say, the scamdemic. How on the television they're telling everybody that it's a horrific pandemic and everybody's dying, and then anyone who looks to discern for themselves would go out into the real world and see that that's not happening. And see that there's the whole perception with all the mask wearing and all that stuff. The perception of a horrific pandemic. We have to observe and discover for ourselves as to what the truth is. And the truth is observable. The truth is discoverable. All laws are universal. In the blue, I got the universal laws of behavior for beings with higher intelligence, once again on this planet, humans. And in the green, universal laws of gravity, gravitational force. So I'm going to start in the blue with the universal laws of behavior in the first row. That E means the sum of morality equals the sum of freedom. And vice versa. The sum of immorality equals the sum of slavery. I'm going to get to that. Now over to the green in the first row. The sum of gravitational force equals gravity times mass 1 times mass 2 divided by distance squared. Now to the blue in the second content row. The laws of behavior are constant. The result of the laws of behavior can vary between societies based on the levels of morality in large societies. I'm going to go over that. Now to the green in the second content row. The laws of gravity are constant. Gravity is different on other planets. Gravitational force can vary between objects due to mass and distance. Now to the blue in the third content row. Laws of behavior are always present in the universe. Humans cannot change or revoke natural behavior laws or any laws. Now to the green. Same row. Gravitational force is always present in the universe. Flying machines do not change or revoke gravity. Now to the next row under that, fourth content row in the blue. Large societies are able to engage in an increased amount of moral free will behaviors when large groups of society members align with the laws of behavior. I'm going to get into these dynamics. Now to the green. same row, flying machines are able to fly, and parachutes reduce a person's speed of descent by aligning with the laws of gravity. Now to the last row in the blue. A good way to align with the law of freedom is to refuse to directly or indirectly initiate harm to other sentient beings. I'm going to get into that. I'm going to explain that. Now over to the green in the same row. A good way to align with gravity is to stay on solid ground at the Earth's surface. Yeah, that'd be a good idea, wouldn't it? Now once again, to Lysander Spooner. This is from The Unconstitutionality of Slavery. The very idea of law originates in men's natural rights. There is no other standard than natural rights by which civil law can be measured. Law has always been the name of that rule or principle of justice which protects those rights. Thus, we speak of natural law. And I'm going to get into this. I'm going to be explaining this. So what is law? Well, how about we compare laws to human rules? Laws of behavior. So let's go to the blue. Once again, I explained it, but talked about it, but let me just mention that in the blue we got laws, and in the red, human rules. So let's get to it. First content row in the blue. Fixed principles are inherent in nature and cannot be eliminated or altered. Now over to first row red. Dictates and commands are based on the wills of certain individuals and change constantly. Remember Spooner's explanation there? That laws are natural and laws are not based in the will or numbers or power of human individuals. Let's keep going. Second row, there are laws of gravity, thermodynamics, mathematics, and behaviors of intelligent beings. To the red. Second row, second content row. Human rules are invented and enforced by the threat of violence. Human rules can never be laws. To the third content row, laws cannot be made in the blue. Laws cannot be made. They are in existence whether or not people acknowledge them. Now to the red third content row. When humans enforce and adhere to rules that violate laws of behavior, the consequences are violence, slavery, and chaos. Just take a look at our world, folks. Do an honest look. Do an honest look. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to explain that. Now to the fourth content row in the blue. Laws of behavior exist for the purpose of maintaining the continuation of life for species with higher intelligence. That's very important. That's very important. So moving on to the red fourth content row. When rules that violate laws of behavior are accepted by a species, that species is sure to experience mass deaths and complete extinction. We're getting close to that. But we can obviously observe and discover the mass deaths between the four mega murderers, Nazi Germany, Soviet Russia, Chiang Kai-shek, and Mao's China. What are we talking about here? Up to possibly 200 million murdered? Now to fifth content row in the blue. Laws are observed objectively. When I let go of a pencil, it falls to the ground. Gravity. Now to the red in the fifth content row. Human rules that coincide behavioral laws are redundant and useless. Human rules that violate behavioral laws are immoral. Just like Spooner said. Just like Spooner said. Any human rule called a law, in so many words, and any human rule called a law must be aligned with natural rights. Period. Or it is incorrect. And no one has any duty to obey it or enforce it. Now to last content row in the blue. Behavior laws are protected by defensive force. Firearms are an effective tool for self-defense. Going to get to self-defense. Laws cannot be enforced. This is impossible. Can't enforce gravity. Same with the human behavioral laws. You can only align with them. I'm going to get to that. Now to the last content row to red. Human rules of behavior are upheld by fear, deception, immaturity, false rewards, and violence. human rules of behavior are useless as far as when it comes to morality. When it comes to morality, we don't need to write these down and go through these rituals where they so-called get signed into existence, because they already are in existence, or in existence naturally. And I'm going to get into this. What are the primary principles of the natural behavioral laws of freedom? The two major principles are the non-aggression principle and the self-defense principle. Two major principles side by side. You got the non-aggression principle, which there's the symbol of the sacred feminine energy, and then there's the self-defense principle, which there's the symbol of the sacred masculine energy. I'm going to get into that. To the non-aggression principle. Do not initiate physical harm to another sentient being. Example, assaulting someone who has not initiated harm to any other person. What behaviors constitute physical harm? Theft, assault, murder, rape, extortion, willful lying that results in harm to others. Willful lying, like what the mainstream media does when they endorse a pharmaceutical product and people go out and take that product and it results in harm to them. That kind of shit. What counts as a sentient being? All humans are sentient beings. Animals are sentient beings. Yes, folks, animals. Do not support the initiation of harm to other sentient beings. Example, voting for a person who vows to make a rule that forbids people to ingest substances. Anyone who does not obey will face violence. And do not facilitate the initiation of harm to others. Example, when politicians start wars, but do not do the fighting. Keep that in mind, folks. Facilitators. They get order followers to do their bidding for them. And the bulk of the karmic consequences fall on the order followers. Now let's go to the self-defense principle. This is the sacred masculine. All beings with the capabilities for higher intelligence, and in parentheses, that's humans on this planet, have the right to defend themselves by any means necessary, and in parentheses, including deadly force against any aggressor. Example, when a person uses deadly force to repel an initiation of aggression by anyone, including street thugs, muggers, foreign militaries, domestic militaries, community police, and all other agents of the state. Yes, folks, we have the right to defend ourselves against anyone and everyone